Last week, Crystal, we were all about ghost tours, but come on, when you think about ghost and mix it with a lively party scene, I think there's only one city that we think of in the USA.
Oh, I know. It's the basement. It's Mom's basement, right?
Yes, Texarkana.
Yeah, that's not a real place. Totally not a real place. I still don't think it's a real place. So
I gotta say, Texarkana is two cities. It's Texas and Arkansas, and the Arkansas side is party central. I think emulating this city we're going to talk about today. They have open carry downtown on the weekends, so you can carry your drinks around from place to place. Crystal's like, I'm in all of a sudden.
Oh, okay.
Look how excited she got.
Tell me more. Right. Wait, so it's not Arkansas, it's Arkansas? Not serious, you guys.
We're going to have a great time. We're going to talk things that go bump in the night. And those are probably people who have been enjoying hauntingly good spirits. Today, we're going to take a tour of New Orleans through the lens of their wonderful drinks, and we'll learn how to make a few. Sharon Keating and Christy Keating Sumich join us to tour that historic city of beignets. I got a picture of myself with just beignet face. Cemeteries, riverboats, New Orleans.
Oh, yeah. New Orleans. Not New Orleans. New Orleans. Yeah, just like Oregon. Can't say Oregon. All right.
But well, you can, but we know you're not from there.
You should not. Also, the last one, Dulles. You can't say Dulles Airport. All right. That's our end of pronunciation class. But at the end of this episode and every show, you'll hear our gear of the day pick. If you're looking for best-in-class gear that's worth the price, head to our Amazon page at stackingadventures.com/gear of the day. We also live in abbreviation land, so stackingadventures.com/GOTD. You'll help the show and you'll help yourself adventure betterer. I always want to say adventure betterer. And for less money. Let's get the show on the road.
Betterer, money.
Betterer. Worser. Worse and worser.
Ready for adventure? From vacation to staycation, and from the mountains to the beach. This is the Stacking Adventures podcast.
Welcome to the Stacking Adventures podcast, where we head around the world with our adventure community to stack memories. We'll remember forever. She's Crystal Hammond.
And I'm Joe Salcy. Hi.
Awesome. How are you today, Crystal? You've got a wild hairdo for people listening.
Yeah, you guys have to. I've actually said this for the last couple episodes, but I'm serious this time. You have to go on YouTube and look at my good hair day, because it doesn't happen often. So
you woke up with bright red hair. You've got a red hat.
Shirley Temple Q's over here. And look at you. What's that? Did you what's on your head?
I am Oogie Boogie today. I've got Oogie Boogie from the fantastic movie Nightmare Before Christmas.
At first I thought that was an eye. I'm like, is that a big third eye? But now I see that's his smile.
It is his nice smile. And Oogie Boogie smiles a lot. So speaking of smiling a lot, we're going to smile a lot today, Crystal, because we're talking about New Orleans. Do you love this city?
I love New Orleans. I love the history and I love the feel. It was funny because I'll never forget, after the first time I went to New Orleans, I said, how does New Orleans belong to America? It doesn't feel like I'm in America. And they were like, duh, Louisiana Purchase. And I was like, oh, okay. Now it makes sense, because New Orleans does not have the vibe that all the other cities have in America.
Well, today we're not going to just talk about New Orleans. We're going to talk about it through the eyes of somebody looking for great drinks. You think about New Orleans, you think about great drinks, you think about great restaurants. And you know what I think about now? I think of a mother-daughter combo who are experts in this area. Christy Sumich and Sharon Keating join us. Christy, you told me twice, I think, how to say your name. Did I get it right?
Yeah, you did.
Well, how about that?
Oh, he listens.
Crystal, miracles do happen. How are you ladies tonight? You're dressed all festive too.
Well, it is the season.
It is the season. So let's go on a tour of New Orleans. And I think, I don't know who wants to take this one, Sharon or Christy, but I think that if we're talking about drinking and we're talking about New Orleans.
Cheers.
We have to start with a drink called absinthe, don't we?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yes, we do. What would you like to know? Because there's so much mystique and lore that surrounds it. And I'm historian, so I can talk forever. So you need to tell me what exactly you want to know about it, and I'll fill you in.
Well, let's start there. Obviously, New Orleans is a city of ghosts, right? It's a haunted city. For people who don't know what absinthe is, how does Absinthe and Christie fit in on this ghost story that we tell ourselves whenever we go to New Orleans?
Yeah, and I think it starts with something that Crystal said, that New Orleans has very strong cultural ties with France. And so absinthe is a spirit. It was actually, it originated from Switzerland in the late 19th century. And it became very popular in Parisian cafes, to the point where anyone who was an artist or a writer, they just, if you were in the certain circles, you drank absinthe. And then it eventually trickled down to the lower classes and became so popular that the little Parisian outdoor cafes at the end of the 19th century had what was called green hour. And that's when you sat and you had your absinthe. So in New Orleans, absinthe became equally popular, actually, and throughout the United States. But of course, New Orleans is sort of known for it. And I think it has this mystique of being dangerous with the wormwood and the absinthe. And so I think that kind of made it like naughty for a lot of people. So they wanted to drink it and experiment with it. And people thought all sorts of things about it, that it was a hallucinogenic. And
well, you wrote that they banned it at one point, right? Wasn't it for a number of years?
Even Switzerland and France banned it, but the United States banned it in 1912, and it was banned all the way up to 2007. Wow. It was actually a New Orleanian, Ted Breaux, who did scientific chemical experiments on it and proved that it wasn't dangerous if consumed properly and responsibly. So then the ban was lifted.
Sharon, you write that New Orleans is an enigma. For adventurers who haven't been there, why do you open this project by calling New Orleans an enigma?
Well, again, I think it goes back to something Crystal said, that she doesn't feel like New Orleans belongs to the United States.
Yep.
New Orleans belongs to the soul.
Ooh.
It's a place where, and I think the death culture here is very different than it is anywhere else. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that we have so many cemeteries. If you drive in to New Orleans on I-10 from the west, you will pass acres of cemeteries on both sides of the interstate. I know if you've ever done that, you've seen them. And they're not grassy lawns with a tombstone. They're huge above ground cemeteries. Some of these tombs are modest. Some of them are as large as small houses. And you can't really go anywhere in New Orleans without passing a cemetery. So to be reminded of death every day like that could be, in other places, very depressing. In New Orleans, it's actually very life affirming, because the way we look at it is that, okay, this is a reminder, we're not going to be here for a very long time. We better just have fun while we are. You know, there's a great song called "At the Foot of Canal Street." It's by, I think it was written by Paul Sanchez and John Boutte. If you ever get a chance, you should listen to it. It expresses that very thing. It's that in fact, we have a bus line that runs from the Mississippi River in the heart of New Orleans down Canal Street, one of the major thoroughfares. It heads out towards those cemeteries. And the terminus of this line is the cemeteries. And the bus is called Cemeteries. So it's a very good metaphor, I think. You get on the bus, you go to the cemeteries, you get there, you lay your burden down, you put on your heavenly crown, and you're good to go. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Just the placement of all our cemeteries. And, you know, they're great tourist attractions. People come from all over just to take cemetery tours.
I've done the cemetery tour. Crystal, have you done the cemetery tours?
No, I've done the swamp tour, the bayou tour, the ghost tour, but not the cemetery
tour. Oh, you must do it.
Well, but then you do. I like that you bring that up, but it is because, you know, it's something that it happens to all of us. So why not do the cemetery tour? Because that's why I didn't. I was scared, but now changed my mind.
Well, you know what, Crystal, we got to talk about something else these ladies go into detail about, which is your trip to the cemetery isn't like a trip in Texarkana to the cemetery. I mean, usually there's a hearse at the front of the line and then a bunch of cars, and we stop traffic. Traffic stops in New Orleans, Christy, but it stops because your trip to the cemetery is going to be a little bit more fun.
Yes, definitely. So, and it's really all about, again, that juxtaposition between enjoying life with death all around you, and funerals are very similar, in that same way that they usually, well, in many cases, there's a second line that leads you to the actual cemetery. And I know.
Yes, you start. Yes, that's absolutely true. The second line is a dance we do in New Orleans to celebrate anything. It could be life, death, a new baby, a divorce, a marriage, just a party, doesn't matter. And traditionally, the jazz funerals, what happens is the casket and the mourners are led from wherever they are, the home or the funeral home, to the cemetery by a second line. It starts off, it's led by a brass band. Nice. The brass band, once they're out in the street, it now becomes a public parade. So it's not just the mourners for this person. You might not know this person, but you know where this person's going. To the foot of Canal Street or one of the other cemeteries, that's where he's going. And so the band starts off with a very mournful, slow dirge. It might be something like, some religious or meaningful song, because we're sad now. This person is going away from us and we're very sad. And maybe a closer walk with thee or something of that nature. And so the mourners walk slowly and respectfully to the cemetery. The casket is buried in one of the above ground cemeteries or wherever. And then the mourners and everybody else who happens to have joined in leave. And that's when it becomes joyous, because now this person is in a better place. This person has put on his heavenly crown, or her heavenly crown. She's in a better place. He's in a better place. Maybe someplace with no hurricanes, less humidity, but certainly better place. It's all going to be good. So then the band strikes up and there's joy for this person. We might have the saints go marching in as that's a must. And people bring out their umbrellas and dance the second line all the way back to wherever. And then there's usually a party, a wait, which is not necessarily all sad.
Right.
Because all life ends. And that's just the way it is.
So you combine this very quirky culture we're talking about with the next thing. My friends just passed away, and now we all go out drinking. But how did you come up with the idea of combining the history of New Orleans with something very iconic, I think, to New Orleans, cocktails?
Yeah, well, I think the two go hand in glove. I mean, New Orleans is a very rich cocktail history. And what we tried to do is take a season that kind of lends itself to, these people tend to think of it as sort of eerie, sort of morbid in a way. And it's really not necessarily either one of those, but it certainly lends itself well to this season of the year. I mean, spooky season in New Orleans is huge. I mean, Christmas and spooky season, which is, again, another juxtaposition, but they're both really huge here. And it's a great place to celebrate Halloween. And a lot of the bars will do very specific drink menus in honor of Halloween, and they'll change up their drinks a little bit and give them some spooky names. And so we tried to do that paradox between celebration of life and death. And that paradox also lends itself very well to Halloween. And that sort of, it's fun to be scared. It's fun to think of. I think it's when we think of death a little bit more, and we're allow ourselves to not be afraid of it, right? Like it's something that you can actually embrace, ghosts and skeletons and all those kinds of things. So those, I think it just melded really well together. And when we were trying to think of what to write, we knew we wanted to do a collaboration, and they say, write what you know. We know cocktails. Ooh. We know the culture here.
These are my kind of people, Crystal.
Right. Like I had been doing a lot of research on bubonic plague and syphilis before this, because I'm an early modern disease historian. So this was more fun. So why not?
definitely sounds more fun.
What was on all the ghost tours? Crystal and I were talking about this last week when we were talking about ghost tours. Christy, what was the plague that was going through New Orleans that really created a lot of the vampire culture? The thoughts that people were vampires around New Orleans.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. And this is not it, but there actually was bubonic plague in New Orleans in the early 20th century, but that's not what it was. It was basically any bleeding disease that when the corpse looked like it had either been drained of blood. So, there was so New Orleans has had a lot of epidemic disease. Cholera was one. Yellow fever nearly wiped us out completely. And yellow fever is a very ghoulish way to die. And you're actually, not to get too much, might be a little early, but you actually vomit blood at the end stages and things.
Oh.
So there were a variety of different diseases that could make it look as if this person, and I think also there's a fear of death, that when it's a ghoulish kind of death, it makes people sort of pause and think, oh, well, maybe this is otherworldly, like maybe this is not happening. So, and that wasn't unique to New Orleans. That vampire legend that comes from certain diseases was, all through the United States as well as Europe.
It's funny, the guy that led our ghost tour was so good at this. He goes, we had two choices. Either it was some disease or a relative was becoming a vampire. So in New Orleans, we decided it's not science. It's got to be vampire, which was
That works.
Sure.
Well, let's go back.
More comforting.
Yeah. Let's get away from vomiting blood. Instead, let's go on an absinthe fueled tour. So I think we just start at Old Absinthe House, which is one of the places that you begin. So let's go on a New Orleans tour. Tell us about Old Absinthe House.
Yeah. So Old Absinthe House, it's the full name is Jean Lafitte's Old Absinthe House. Jean Lafitte is all over the place in New Orleans. His ghost is probably the one that people say they see the most. So he haunts many, many places, if you believe that sort of thing. And we kind of joke that any building in the French Quarter worth its salt will claim a couple of ghosts. Most of them claim Jean Lafitte. So this is a place where the original Absinthe Frappe was created years and years ago. And that's a great drink that's in our book. But it's a very old bar. The other ghost that supposedly haunts it is the Voodoo Queen, Marie Laveau. And the bar itself is, like 200 years old. And people say that they have seen Jean Lafitte striking up his big deal with Andrew Jackson on the second floor. And then sometimes they say they see Marie Laveau. Sometimes they say it's just Jean Lafitte and Andrew Jackson sharing a tankard of ale up on there. And it's a great place to get absinthe. It's kind of ironic that people always thought absinthe was a hallucinogenic, and you're drinking it in this bar where a lot of people claim to see ghosts. So I think that's kind of funny and ironic.
Totally unrelated, right?
No correlation, right?
Yes. And if we're talking absinthe, the original bar from the Absinthe House had to be ferreted away during Prohibition. And so they moved it to an underground speakeasy. Because you're not going to get rid of it. Come on. I don't think anybody thought Prohibition was going to stick around for long in New Orleans anyway. So they spirited it away and then brought it back. And it's been restored right near that property. There's a bar called the Belle Epoque. And it has those old absinthe. And if you've never seen an absinthe dripper, they are amazing. They're intricately carved and absolutely works of art on their own. And you can actually go and get some absinthe from there or enjoy it in a cocktail, depending on your speed with it.
How many, there's so many bars above ground in New Orleans. I never think of New Orleans as speakeasy culture. Are there speakeasies hidden around New Orleans?
There's so many speakeasies. And some of them are kind of scary, like the dungeon that's in our book. There's actually a hidden vampire speakeasy that you have to know where it is, and you have to have a code word to get in. You can't just walk in off the street. So, but there are places you can go. And if you're interested in vampires, there's parts of our book that are dedicated to that. And we kind of give you clues in the book, but we can't tell it too much because you have to go and experience it. Part of the fun is figuring out how to get to it's called potions, but how to get to your hidden vampire speakeasy.
That's great. You mentioned the Absinthe Frappe, and it looks gorgeous. The pictures, by the way, in your book are amazing. So this drink looks totally delicious, but how do we make an Absinthe Frappe?
Well, so has absinthe in it, and this is kind of, I think, a good point for it. It depends on your absinthe tolerance, right? So like if you are hardcore, you're going to do an absinthe ritual, right? If you're not, you're going to do kind of like an absinthe rinse to it. And some of them just take the absinthe, they rinse it in the glass and they discard it. So that's a good place to start. So an absinthe frappe actually has absinthe in the drink. So you're going to fill up a glass with crushed ice because you always want it super, super cold. So then you're going to add some absinthe, probably about 1.5 ounces, but you can play with that. Absinthe is if you've never tasted, very, very strong. It tastes like anise. It tastes like black licorice.
Licorice. Yeah. I had it once. We had a friend bring it over for a party we had. And to both of your ladies' points, we had so much fun playing with absinthe. Like, ooh, we're being naughty. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to decide how much you want to cut that and also dilute it. It is extremely high proof. So it's high proof and it tastes bitter. Right. So you're not shooting absinthe. Okay, let's just put that out there.
Good.
And it's not a sipper either. You're not sipping it straight. You're diluting it. So you're going to add the absinthe, some simple syrup, which will again help. That's that sugar that'll add the sweetness, that'll take some of the bitterness away, and some soda water on top. And then you're going to want to add all that together. You can shake it in a cocktail shaker gently, and then strain it over your glass filled with ice. And then you want to put some mint on there for garnish if you want. I always think that the fresh mint makes a drink. I'm all about the garnishes. So absolutely don't skimp on the garnish. Plus we taste first with our eyes. So you want to present this beautiful drink with the mint. And so absinthe can come either green or it can be absinthe blanc, which is like a white absinthe. We usually use the green ones in our recipes because it's just spookier for, it goes with the green, matches your hat. So that's, I think that just kind of makes it more fun.
And Christy too, I like that you said that, we taste with our eyes first, because you talked about the glassware and the drinkware and the garnish. And that's usually things that you skip over in a drink, it's talking about cocktails. You just want to get right to the alcohol.
Yeah. Not the point with absinthe. Definitely.
And with glassware, and this is a little bit on the side here, I think it's a good idea if you're buying a wine glass or a coupe glass, or a champagne flute, to go with crystal. I mean, really, you take it, you ding it, you hear that little ding before you even start making the drink. It kind of sets the mood. Now, if you're going to go with, say, a highball glass or lowball glass is fine. That's where you can, I think, express yourself. I have a set of glasses, highball glasses, that are beautifully embossed with the names. It says, pick your poison. I've got one that says arsenic. I've got one that says belladonna. That's just fun. But I think with going back to the absinthe, I like the coupe glass for the Corpse Reviver, which is my favorite drink. That's a good way to start if you're not really sure about the absinthe, because you just take your coupe glass and you put a little bit of absinthe, just rinse the glass, and then pour the excess out. So you get the aroma, you get a hint of the taste, but it's not really strong. So that's a good drink to start introducing yourself to absinthe, I think.
Ooh. So, Joe, we're halfway through today's show, so
Already.
I think it's time for our road trip pit stop. On the pit stop, you're always dreaming about what's at the end of the adventure. How cool will it be to get there? I find myself saying, are we there yet? Way too many times.
Are we in New Orleans? Let's just go to New Orleans.
Yet?
Let's go right now.
But our pit stop is always a hint at our gear of the day. And you can see past gear of the day at stackingadventures.com/gear of the day, or GOTD. So, all right. So our hint today.
All right.
Let's see. What could our hint be? Our hint. Let's see. I wonder if there's something out there that could tell us about, what would it tell us? The history of New Orleans.
Okay.
It would tell us about drinks.
Okay.
But it's something that you carry with you when you want to have this. This is going to help you escape into your trip. Like it's gonna enhance your experience, but I don't know what it could be. Do you have any guesses?
Any type of trip in particular?
New Orleans trip.
New Orleans trip.
Yeah.
Drinks and history of the city. Boy, I don't know. Christy, Sharon, do you guys know?
No, I think I'm going to need a few more hints.
All right. Well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take a break while I think about it, and we'll be right back. What could it be? Crystal, I've been throwing the book at this question. I don't know exactly what thing would I travel with that combines drinks, New Orleans, and a tour of the city.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
It's easy to carry, super lightweight. Visuals, oh my gosh. People have been waiting for Beyonce to drop visuals and Taylor Swift to have visuals. This thing is full of visuals also, but
all the visuals, and especially for
visuals.
Well, great all year long. Yeah. Well, let's
keep thinking.
Let's go back to Sharon and Christie with more questions. Maybe we can figure it out by the end when we tell everybody what the gear of the day is. Christy, let's go back to the historian for a second. Not your type of history, but when we think about his history in New Orleans, you two also write that Hemingway was a big fan of New Orleans.
Oh, yes.
He absolutely was. Yeah. And in fact, he was in the city so much. One of the most historic and one of the hotels that always ends up on a most haunted hotel in New Orleans, the Hotel Monteleone, was he was there so often they actually named a suite after him. So you can go down to Hotel Monteleone and stay in Hemingway's suite. But he also invented an absinthe drink called Death in the Afternoon.
What a great name, Death in the Afternoon. Yeah. I've had afternoons like that, but I think after a few of those, it might be. And by the way, are these places, because we talked earlier on about the old Absinthe House and now Hotel Monteleone, are these all within walking distance of Canal Street and downtown? Can we just very quickly get from place to place?
Most of them are in the French Quarter, yes, which is very walkable. New Orleans is a very walkable city in general, but most of them are, yes.
Yeah, and the book has actually a map of every place we mention, all of the bars, all of the, there's a haunted history section. So anything we talk about, we will kind of go into more depth there. And those are all points on the map. So you can kind of see how it lays out. So you can kind of get an idea visually of where everything is. So you can figure out, oh, maybe I want to go explore witchcraft, or maybe I'm just interested in the history, or maybe I just want to try a few bars, that kind of thing.
Right. Maybe I want to just try more absinthe.
Or you could you can also turn yourself into a tour guide. Like you can read from the book aloud. Be like, follow me, guys, to the next place.
Go to the next place.
Tip your tour guide, or just buy your tour guide drinks.
Well, let's talk about Dying in the Afternoon then. What cracked me up was the two of you wrote that Hemingway said sip 3 to 5 of these slowly. Yeah. And the two of you write, I think I'd sip 1 or 2 slowly. How come? Tell us what's in this drink.
Well, it's an 1.5 ounces of absinthe. So that's a lot. That's a lot. And then to about 4.5 ounces of chilled either champagne or Prosecco, whichever you prefer. It doesn't really matter. It's, personal choice. And then you're just garnishing it with a lemon peel and adding some simple syrup. So it gives your absinthe festive bubbles to go with them. So I don't know how any mortal could drink 3 to 5 of these in a sitting. I mean, Hemingway was in a class of his own. We are not trying to be Hemingway. We are not trying to beat him in a drinking contest. So I think these cocktails are sippers, and I think one's probably good. Honestly.
Well, plus, if you're trying to tour, I would think, ladies, that, try one and then go try something else.
Yes, after maybe a water.
Right.
Or 3. Yeah, water or 3.
Or 7. One of the iconic restaurants in town you talk about also has a connection to absinthe, I believe, Commander's Palace.
Oh, Commander's Palace. Yeah.
Sharon, how often have you eaten at Commander's Palace?
Well, I ate there day before yesterday. Because it's walking distance to my house. But
perfect.
Yes, that is the grande dame of restaurants in New Orleans, of uptown restaurants. To be fair, there are some iconic restaurants in the French Quarter as well. Because Commander's Palace is not in the French Quarter; it's in the Garden District. So it's a different area of town, but you can easily get there on a streetcar. from the French Quarter. So that's not a problem. And it's a very iconic restaurant. It's wonderful food. And it has and they say in real estate, location. Mm-hmm. It's directly across the street from the Lafitte Cemetery. And the Lafitte Cemetery is an extremely fun place to go. And it's very accessible. It's a very good place if you just to walk through. I don't know if you're familiar with Anne Rice, the author who wrote Interview with the Vampire and the Mayfair Witch series. Well, Lestat's tomb, fictional tomb, of course, is in Lafitte Cemetery. His casket is there. The Mayfair witches are buried in Lafitte Cemetery. So it's, and our theory, and of course, we have no evidence to prove this, but our theory is that there are ghosts there who live right across the street from Commander's Palace. Maybe they can't eat, but they can get the aromas. So they just drift over, and visit. There are
But that sounds like, Sharon, it would be torture. Like if I've got to smell this wonderful food and I can't eat it, that's maybe hell.
Yeah. But so it's a great place to go. Walk through the cemetery. There's so on not as light a note, you'll see a lot of how New Orleans cemeteries are constructed there. That's a good place to go because a lot of our cemeteries, they're above ground. Most of them are, and they consist of the basic ones of 3 tiers. There's 2 tiers for caskets, and then there's the bottom called the caveau, and there are in this relatively moderate grave, you might have 30 people buried there.
Wow.
Because the way it works is somebody dies, you put the casket in the top tier, and another person in the family dies. So you take that one out, you put it in the second tier, you put the new person in the top tier, somebody else dies. Now the bottom tier guy, by this time, he's pretty much not
he's
what
ashes
he used
to
to
ashes,
be.
dust to dust.
Disintegrated.
Right, it's a biblical thing. Take the casket out. All of the remains go down to the underneath of that in the caveau, and the casket is then burned. Everybody moves down, and it's very it's rotation basis. So you might have, and you can look on all of the front of the tomb. There's names and dates of births and deaths, and on the sides of some of these tombs, there's names, so that you might have 20 people in one grave. So it gets a little crowded. You might want to get out, take a little walk across the street, or around the garden district. But it's a good cemetery to go in to see, to get a concept of what the cemeteries are really like.
Commander's Palace, great food, but also you point to a drink there. But before we get to that, you mentioned getting out to the Garden District, which Sharon, I've done. The first time, though, for people who haven't been to New Orleans, taking the streetcar out to the Garden District. Mm-hmm. That to me was way easier than I thought it was going to be. And these streetcars, Sharon, they go all over town, right?
Well, they go on St. Charles Avenue. Then you can get the streetcar that runs from down Canal Street. There's a red streetcar that runs. There's one that runs along the river. And remember, New Orleans has streetcars. San Francisco has trolleys. New Orleans has streetcars. Mm-hmm. Just what we call them. But
so don't ask where the trolley stop is.
Don't ask where the ask where the streetcar stop is. Yeah. And really they're a good deal. It's $1.25.
Nice.
Yeah. And you do need exact change, but there are apps that you can pay ahead of time and get the schedules. And it's a good way to see the city. In fact, it's a cheap way. You get on it at Canal Street. Now they don't run into the French Quarter. Canal Street, and you have to understand, Canal Street is the dividing line between the old part of the city, the Via Carré, or the French Quarter, where the French and Spanish lived, and then the American sector, which is on the other side of Canal Street. Because after the Louisiana Purchase, when the Americans started moving in, the French and the Spanish considered them, really classe. So they didn't want them they didn't want to live next to them. So they put them on the other side of Canal Street. So the streetcar only runs to Canal Street and runs uptown through the American sector and into uptown.
Wow.
But it's easy. You just walk across the street. And you have to remember when you're on Canal Street, all of the street names change. Because of that, all of the street names change. So it's on one side, there'll be St. Charles Avenue. On the other side, it'll be something else. It's the street name. So you got to be on the right side of Canal Street if you're looking for your street. You have to know which side it's on.
That's
but
great.
Anyway,
I never knew any of that.
I digress.
No, it's all right.
We love it. That's great.
$1.25. You get on, you ride up St. Charles Avenue it goes through the Garden District. You'll see a lot of things on the way. You'll pass Tulane and Loyola Universities. You'll pass Audubon Park. You can go to the end and then just pay another $1.25 and come back. It's really a nice, and you can get off. It's a nice cheap way to see a great part of the city.
Oh, the Garden District there too. While you're at Commander's Palace, going for a walk there, just walk. It's so beautiful. But let's talk about the drink, because you've got a great drink that you suggest people should try at Commander's Palace.
Well, my favorite thing at Commander's Palace is the Saint 75. I'm not sure if that's the one you're talking about, but and if I'm going to Commander's, I'm probably getting that. But and they have a great lunch special where their cocktails are very reasonably priced. But you should also either get an old fashioned if you're more of a whiskey drinker, or a Sazerac if you just want to try something quintessentially New Orleans. And that's an absinthe rinse drink. So again, if you want to put a toe in the water with absinthe, but not too much. But I love a good festive Saint 75, which is it's in our book, but it is not absinthe, because absinthe is only part one. So there's lots of other different deep dives you can go into. But that's a Saint Germain elderflower liqueur and some sparkling wine. You can use a cava if you want some simple syrup, basil simple syrup, and fresh lemon juice. And then you put the lemon peel for garnish and sort of mix it all together. And it's light and very refreshing, especially on a hot day. So it's a great one to begin with before your meal, just to have a little toast, a little something to cheers with. It's
very festive.
Cool.
That's really cool. It sounds festive. Yeah, Crystal?
And I was going to say, let's go back to the Sazerac, because a friend of mine that has frequents New Orleans, he told me a story that he heard at a place about the history of Sazerac. And I know they say they spray. So is that what they're spraying in the bottle, or how does that even?
Yeah, well, so the Sazerac is the quintessential New Orleans drink, and it has been for 200 years. So when you think New Orleans cocktail, it's almost like you have to have a Sazerac. I mean, okay. And like I said, that is an absinthe rinse. So you're just taking the glass, rinsing about, like a fourth an ounce of absinthe in it, and discarding the rest. And it's served straight up, but it has to be in a chilled glass. So you can either pack a lowball glass with ice while you're constructing your drink in the other glass. But then you're going to dump the ice, or you just stick a drink in your glass in the freezer, whatever. But it's got a sugar cube, because again, you always want to cut that little bitterness, that anise flavor. Some Peychaud's bitters. You can use any kind of bitters, but we love Peychaud's bitters. That's the bitters that are meant to be used with the Sazerac. Some rye whiskey to it. Love that lemon peel for garnish. And we actually in the book did a spooky smoked Sazerac just to make it, because the Sazerac is all year round. So for spooky season, there's so many ways to smoke a drink, but I grow rosemary in my garden. I know my mom does too. So you could just take a little sprig of your rosemary and lie it over the top of the glass and ignite it. And it's not going to really catch fire. It's just going to smoke. And you just let it smoke. You let that, the aroma kind of infuse into the drink and serve it that way. Now, you don't want someone drinking we'll take it out before you drink it. No smoking rosemary while you're drinking the drink. But it's just a really fun enhancement to a super classic drink.
That's a great tip.
I love, if I remember right, I don't have the book open right now, but it seems like you even have like a smoky feel around the glass, like you capture it in the picture. Yeah. We can talk about Sazerac. By the way, before we get to Sazerac, it's funny, Crystal, because I was telling friends of mine we were going to be talking to Christy and Sharon today, and everybody had an opinion about Sazerac. Like everybody has it. They either love it or they hate it. Yeah, there's nobody that goes, it's okay. It's either, it's fantastic, or that's the devil's work. Like one of the other. We can't talk about Sazerac though with another iconic place you have in the book, which is the Sazerac bar at the Roosevelt Hotel. Tell us about the Roosevelt Hotel and why it made your list.
Yeah, that is an iconic New Orleans hotel. And And the fun story behind the Sazerac bar there is that it used to be male only. No women allowed except Mardi Gras Day, because Mardi Gras Day, there's no rules for anything. So eventually in 1949, women, they were fed up. It's a really neat bar, and they weren't allowed in there. So they stormed the Sazerac. So they just demanded that they be served. And the
That's
men
awesome.
paid. So now every September, there's an event. We've been, it's super fun, where you dress up in 1940s era clothing and you storm the Sazerac.
Storm the bar.
It's just really like the second line.
That's
and
fun.
then you go to the Sazerac or, whatever cocktail you want.
And we let the men in. We're
everybody.
That's nice.
Yeah. Aw, I like that.
You'll have to come join us next year.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
It's on
Stop
my
yelling
list.
at me about it. All right. If you're demanding, yeah.
Not you, Joe.
Yeah, that sounds like no fun at all. Yeah.
Invited. You're invited. The men watch us storm the Sazerac.
Oh.
We storm it, they watch.
They're usually already
Coming.
drinking anyway. They
Yeah, right.
They can't be bothered.
You storm it this time. I'll hold your drink. Right. While you're storming it. So many iconic places here. I'd love to talk more about the book, but first, I think, Crystal, we should find out about our gear of the day. What is our gear of the day?
Well, so then tell me, all right, what's your final answer? Any final answers?
Okay. So the gear of the day is some guide to New Orleans
with maps. It has a map. I just remembered while we were talking that it has a map of all these places that we talked about.
I've been flipping through the pages in my brain, and I'm not sure.
Oh man, we hear it rattling. That's that rattling noise.
I'm right here, Crystal. I'm right here. What could it be, Crystal? What is it?
I'll tell you. It's a book. It's called Hauntingly Good Spirits, New Orleans Cocktails to Die For. And it's written by two people that we happen to know.
Really?
Yeah, Sharon Keating and Christy Keating Sumich. The big reveal.
It is the big, and it's
guessed it.
I know.
Yeah,
You guys,
who knew?
I know you're so surprised.
Yeah, that was our worst. It was a great gear of the day, but it was our worst reveal, I think. Ladies, why? So let's talk about the partnership. I think it's so cool that the two of you did this together. But let's talk about writing this book. How did the idea come to be, and talk about the making of it?
Well, we had been kind of wanting to collaborate. We'd both written books in the past. Sharon's written some New Orleans and pictures in New Orleans then and now. And I had been writing more on the academic side. And my kids asked after my book came out, well, can you write next time something somebody wants to read? And I thought, really good idea. I mean, sure, I spent 10 years on this one, but yeah, like let's next time a book people wonder, what a concept. And so I wanted to write some fun nonfiction. And I asked my mom, hey, would you be interested in writing something with me, maybe something local to New Orleans? And she said yes. And we were kind of casting around for ideas. And then again, to the write what you know, write what you love, write something that you want to research. And this sounded like a great idea, something we could research.
No-brainer, really.
Yes.
It's our first in our collaboration, but we've since written another cocktail book that'll be out this winter. And then we switched to fiction. So now we're writing cozy mysteries set in New Orleans. So it's been, it's kind of spawned this sort of new second career for both of us, which has been really, really fun. And I know something I treasure being able to meet with her.
Me too. And first, when she approached me about this, I was very intimidated. I mean, she's the scholar. You know, she writes these scholarly tomes. I wrote 2 coffee table books. You know, not exactly the same thing. So I was a little intimidated. But then I thought, you know, if you live long enough to embarrass your daughter, then life is good, right?
Well, that's what I was thinking, Sharon. You know, when Christy was talking, I'm like, spending time with researching and being on this deep project with my mom. Let's include drinks.
That's a must.
Well, yeah, that was another thing. But really, and you know what surprised? I guess it shouldn't have surprised me because we are very much alike in a lot of ways. But our writing styles, that's what made it so easy. Our writing styles are very similar. So we have took the same lighthearted approach to this book, making it fun. And so it was easy to just divide up the chapters. You do this chapter, and like I wanted to do the jazz funerals. I love the voodoo and the witchcraft thing. So, I did that. So it was easy to divide up the work. And I think our editor couldn't tell which chapter I wrote and which one Christy wrote. So I thought we did a pretty good job with that.
It was great to read. And I'm grabbing copies too for my friends that have Airbnbs, because this belongs in every single Airbnb, just because, it's fun to read while you're on vacation. And that way this is saying, all right, I'm going to New Orleans next.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to ask about the photos. Can I ask about the photos? Because the photos are gorgeous. Who was your photographer? Were you the photographer?
Well, so funny. We like to keep it in the family. The drink pictures, our publisher did. They have a wonderful, wonderful photography department. But I would say most of the pictures of the places, the haunted history, all those sections are Sharon's husband, my dad, Wayne Keating, took all of those pictures. He's a great photographer. So we just literally dragged him around the French Quarter and said, we need that. And we were surprised because the art department, our publisher's art department, accepted every single picture he took in their own book. So,
that's
great.
Yeah, they are amazing.
We had to buy him lunch and a beer.
Yeah, okay. Keep it in the family. That is funny. Like, yep, you're voluntold to do all this stuff.
I thought he had to be the research taste tester. That's what I wanted to be. Okay, I'll be the taste tester. Make sure
we had a lot of family volunteers for that.
That's weird, isn't it? It's so strange. An academic project like this, everybody's volunteering. It's like our friend my friend Len Penzo does a ice cream taste test where he tries to do cheap ice creams versus expensive ones. Mm-hmm. And I tell him every year when he does this, I'm like, I keep volunteering. I don't know why he doesn't allow me. That'd be great. But if you're doing book 2, volume 2, I'll come down and make sure that I
we'll
taste
test.
Yeah,
that'll be great.
The book is available, I'm assuming, everywhere, ladies.
Everywhere,
yes.
Yeah. Well, it's
such a pleasure.
Yeah, great book, and thank you so much for taking us on a tour of your beautiful home city. It's such like you opened up with, it's such an enigma, and what a great place to visit.
Well, thank you, and thank you so much for having us. We've enjoyed this, enjoyed meeting you. You're going to come down again.
Yes,
come down for a visit.
For sure.
We'll do a little second line.
Yeah,
celebrating whatever Tuesday, could be anything.
Crystal may or may not bring her hair with her.
Oh no,
this fits. Yeah, I would get charged extra.
It could be any time of year, and it would be okay.
Yeah,
that's true. That is true.
New Orleans, it wouldn't be a problem.
Stackers, if you love this, Stackers, Adventures, if you love this topic, you will find the book Hauntingly Good Spirits at the Gear of the Day, along with all of our other Gear of the Day, stackingadventures.com/Gear of the Day, or GOTD. And here's our question for you. Have you ever been to New Orleans? What are your favorite haunts around this great iconic city? Any drinks that you love? We think everybody's had a great or weird experience in New Orleans. I've had, as you ladies can imagine, in the French Quarter, some very weird experiences that I may not be able to even tell on this podcast. Jump on our voicemail, stackingadventures.com/mystory or stackingadventures.com/voicemail, and leave your message. You'll have up to 5 minutes to tell your story, and we'll do that in a future episode, Crystal.
Yeah, I might hop on the voicemail to talk about my my dating experience at the Carousel Hotel.
Oh boy.
Oh. You're not contemplating having 2 deaths in the afternoon, are you? Good one. Could advise against that.
The drink, and she also wants to die on this date.
Well, then if you do, drink a corpse reviver.
Okay.
To get yourself back together.
Oh, perfect.
Well, thank you again to Christy and Sharon. We'll see you guys next time in Stacking Adventures. She's Crystal.
And I'm Joe. He's Joe.
We'll see everybody next time.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.